Good morning, everyone. Today I want to take a look at the new FAB in Launcher. This is a recent release from Epic and the team behind the FAB asset store. It was released about a couple of weeks ago now. I was hiking in the mountains of the Balkans at the time. I did start get some messages that things didn't work as they should, and because this launcher was released. This changes everything from being based on the web to being based in this launcher. It's pretty much like a bridge. If you used the Megascans bridge before, it's the same as that, and there are other bridges as well where you're supposed to just with a click be able to import your asset into your favorite application, Unreal or Blender or whatever. But this is what it looks like when you start it. So you have to open your game launcher. And normally you would be met with, if you're like me and you do a lot of work in Unreal Engine, you would be starting up in Unreal Engine. But this is also where you have your games libraries, etc. And now there is a new tab here called FAB. So if you click on that, you will go into the FAB in Launcher store. They've done a lot of work on this, I can tell. It was not easy to get to this point, but it is far from perfect, I can tell you that. So there's lots of work to be done before this is, until this is completely usable. It is usable as it is now, but there are lots of caveats with it. So let's dive into that. If you're new to my channel, I'm a VFX industry veteran working as an environment artist for many years at the big studios, crafting environments for Marvel movies and more. Now I'm pursuing my passion of photogrammetry in the field and Unreal Engine. So this channel is all about that process. There's lots of tutorials, field reports and news. And I publish all my work under the name Midgard Geographical Society on FAB. So subscribe if that's your thing. Much more is coming. Once you got the FAB in Launcher updated, you will be met with this interface here. So all you have to do to get it working is you go to your games launcher and you will update it down here, and then it will show up automatically. As soon as you have the latest version of the games launcher, it's going to work okay. If you don't have the games launcher, you're going to have to install it from scratch, and there are links all over where you can find that. But as you can see, there's lots going on. There's a ton of stuff, lots of filters, etc., because FAB has become absolutely huge. And that's both good and bad. I find it can be maybe a little bit too hard now to find quality stuff, and used to be a little bit simpler before. However, what I'm going to focus on today is what is new and what it means for, first of all, as a user, but also as a creator. So since a lot has changed with this launcher and it's far from finished, there are a lot of caveats. And the first thing that I experienced is that if I go to my library here, I got some of my stuff here. So this is my free asset pack here. We can start in that end. So if you click on one of these asset packs here, you're going to get this little interface. This is the download interface. And what happened with this one is that now it takes, whenever you download it, it takes the name here and it creates a project for it. So let's see if I click here, create project. So when I was out in the mountains, I started getting some mails from people who said, oh, I can't create a project because there's hyphen in it. So what happens is then we click create project, and I had like a little hyphen here between these. Now I didn't use to use this name at all for anything. But that hyphen was not allowed, so all of a sudden people couldn't create the project. But now you can just create projects, and you're going to be met with this, which is, yeah, it's still fine. I guess you can just change the name here, but I guess people will just click and create. So it would have worked anyways. But when there was a hyphen like this, it's just wouldn't. Project names may not contain the following characters, a hyphen there, so could have just done it like that. However, that's my first introduction to the FAB in Launcher, and I think as a result I got maybe a downvote on this one. It's now 4.9 instead of 5, so that hurts. But when it comes to this, there are different types that you can use. So this one would be easy. This is what you call it's a complete project. It's an Unreal Engine project, so when you create it, you're going to get everything in it. It's including the config files, everything. So that's one type of asset that you can use. And this would probably work just fine. You just save it to disk, and there's nothing that can go wrong. Everything there is just as it should be. But if I click, maybe I can take this one, my Vijaya Nagar project. Now this is what you call an asset pack. So it only contains the assets, but also a couple of demo maps and things. So when you click here, add to project, you're going to have to choose which project you're going to add it into, and then it's going to be there. So yeah, the problem with that is that everybody can have their own settings. Somebody uses ray tracing, some doesn't use ray tracing, etc. So it could look any old way. So I'm not sure if, I think in the future I'm going to do more of the complete projects and save these asset packs for something a little bit different. But when I have like a big project like this, it's going to be a complete project, because then I can add sounds and I can have custom controls, which I can't if it's just an asset pack. Then it's dependent on what your settings are. But anyways, this works fine as well. You get all the assets in, you get all the textures in, etc. So that's all good. Now, where things are actually a little bit more new is when you're using the FBX files. And this is mostly then kind of the single FBX files. Let's start looking at the Quixel stuff, the Megascans, because everything is kind of built around the Megascans structure. So that works almost flawlessly, to the detriment of us other creators a little bit. But we'll see how close we can get to the Megascans things, because yeah, if everybody has those installed, it's good if it matches up as close as possible. So I click on Unreal Engine, and then I have the Quixel here. You see they're promoting themselves up to the top bar here, which is fair enough, I suppose. And let's click on one of these things. Now you're met with a similar kind of interface here, and you can also buy it. So 266 if you're a home user, and 26, which is quite a lot, if you're a professional user. And these are the formats that it presents itself in: FBX, GLB, USDZ, and GLTF. Now, well, we can talk about these things here. I didn't have any really success with this, but I'm going to talk about that more in the creator part of this section. But needless to say, just focus on the FBX. That's pretty much all you need from these things. But I could buy this and then I could install it, but I'm not going to do that. We are going to find some free. So let's go to the Megascan store. Click on this Quixel, and this is the Megascan store, and you're presented with all of these singles. So they just recently made a huge dump of objects, I think over 300 little objects, and they now all cost money. So there was a package before, the full Megascans store library, that you could get for free, and if you signed up to that, you still have access to that here. But all the new things you're going to have to pay, and it costs around well, this is in pounds, so $2.66 or maybe $3 or something for an asset if you're a home user, like I said, and 26 if you're a professional. That's if your company makes over $100,000 in revenue. However, we want some free stuff. To go and try this out. So let's see, do price. We can click the free here. And now you can also see these saved in my library. So this is from the big Megascans library that was free before. So all of these things are just available for me here at one click. But they also released some new ones here. These are free test meshes. So let's see what it can do. So we can take this industrial brick ruin wall brick straight 02. So how does this work now? You have to first select an export target. is going to go to 3D Studio Max, to Blender, etc. But what you're probably most interested in is one of the engines here. So you got 5.6, 5.5, 5.4, and 5.3. Now let's see if you want 5.5, for instance. Now you can see here, you see you need the Unreal Engine 5.5 plugin to export to this target, and you can just click the install plugin, and it's going to take a few seconds only, and then it's done. And you can do that for all the others as well. But let's say I am mostly using Unreal Engine 5.4 when I'm building my stuff, because then it's easy to upgrade, because you can't downgrade. If I'm working with 5.6 and I need to publish my assets in 5.5, 5.4, it's a bit hard. And I think if I go down to 5.3, there's too much of a difference. Certain thing doesn't work as expected. Anyways, that's a side note. So what you should choose then is FBX. Now these ones, they kind of work as well, but there's not really any point to them unless you specifically need it. And also, when I exported, I had huge problems with these, so I don't trust them, to be honest. But yeah, you can try it. And the quality is goes from low, probably for mobile games, medium, it's around 7,000-8,000 polygons or something, and high is like 15,000 polygons, and raw is the nanite version. So that's probably what you want if you're building a scene. And then you only have to click export, but you can also do download only if you want to save it to disk and go from there and just get the zip file, and then you can dive into it and handle the textures as you want. Let's click on the export and export it into an open project that I have in Unreal Engine 5.4. You need to have the project open where you want it to end up, and I have that. Let's click export. You wait a bit. And this is then the raw version as well. There we go. I'm now inside of my Unreal Engine project, and you can see it is loading it in there. No smoothing groups, don't care, off. And you can now see that it's down here. So what happened then? It creates its own mega scans. Well, first of all, it creates a whole FAB folder for you here. So that's the first thing that it creates. And then I have already imported a bunch of other stuff that I've been trying out. But let's focus on the Megascans one. So if it comes from Megascans, we'll create a Megascans folder for you. And then 3D, and this is another one that I downloaded, but this is the one we just got now. So you got this one, the Ruin Wall Brick Straight, and raw. And if you go down to meshes, you will find it there. So this is the structure it creates. So since it's the raw, we need to activate the nanite, which it didn't do by default, and I didn't see if there was any option to import it and then immediately turn it into nanite. But it's easy enough to go in and click it, and it did happen, but for some reason it doesn't register here until you click out again, and then now you can see it's nanited. And then if I check, if I hover over it and check, it should say nanite triangles 500,000. So if we drag this one in here, it comes in with textures and all, and looking pretty nice. So that, I have to say, is very smooth and easy. So you can just use that FAB in Launcher as your private library for all kinds of stuff. And if you're like me and you have your own FAB store, you can use your own FAB store as a private remote library as well. So you always have access to your assets, which is pretty neat. Now, it's not without caveats, this. The problem is that it works absolutely perfectly, or very good, with Megascans things. Now, the problem is that it doesn't work as good with other creators and stuff. So let's dive back into the FAB store. Yeah, the reason it doesn't work as good is because there's been a lot of changes. All the namings have been changed for the textures, etc. So it just means it doesn't hook up as well as it should. So if I go to my library again, I can show you some of my things here. So for instance, I have these Roman ruin pieces here. These are all FBX pieces. So in theory, I should be able to choose Unreal Engine 5.4, for instance, and click the export, and it should do the same thing. However, as it stands now, it does not work because I used the old naming convention that Megascans used. So even before, I was copying exactly what they did, but now they have changed all the stuff. All the names has been changed on the assets. So that means my meticulously named assets here are no longer valid. So it's not going to connect the textures to the correct shader. So even though you get it in correct with all the textures and everything, you then have to do some kind of manual work. But what is of course going to happen is that I'm going to have to sit down for a couple of days and rename everything that I have done, so it works with this system as well. So, well, that's part of the fun. Huh? Let's quickly just show what has changed. It's mostly the textures then. So if I just click on one of these, we can now see this one is called Industrial Brick Ruin Wall Brick Straight 02 Vidge Raw 8K Normal. So what does this mean? So first of all, there's the name. It goes all the way up to straight 02, and then after that it's the qualifier. It's just a code, so you never get the same name twice in case you forget. When you got a million assets, it's easy, you name them exactly the same, so you just need the code to differentiate them. And then raw is the quality setting. I used to use nanite for mine, but yeah, raw. I'm going to switch over to raw as well. It works as fine. And that usually is around 1 million polygons. And then it's the texture size. This is an 8K texture, which is a bit much maybe. Anyways. And then what type of texture it is. Now it's normal texture. And this is all fine. So in the future I just have to do this. So you need the name, and then the suffix should be whatever textures is: normal, albedo, diffuse color, base color, etc. Now if we take a look at what mine used to look like, if I go down to, for instance, so it's a virtual texture, but this is what it used to look like before. You started with a T for texture. Then you have the name, and then FAB here is my qualifier, the identifier for the texture and the asset. And then the texture size 4K, and then _N. And that would previously be enough. But now I have to change it to normal and remove the T as well, because that's no longer in use. I don't think it hurts, and I'm think maybe I keep it or not. I'm not sure just yet, because I kind of like just seeing immediately what it is. I kind of get used to it, but we'll see if I remove it or not. Anyways, but that is the big difference. So none of my stuff, and probably none other people's stuff, unless they named it normal, etc., is gonna work properly. So all of us creators probably have to go in and double check our things if we have these FBX assets that we want to import. So I got my week planned out from now on. Otherwise, I think it's going to work out pretty nicely. It's going to be a very nice system. There's lots of little quirks and kinks that needs to be ironed out, of course. But then after that, I think this is the way to go. But now, let's do the second part. If you are a creator, what do you have to think about? So I touched a bit on it, but let's do a deep dive and create something from scratch and try to import it and do the whole workflow thing so we get it right. What does this mean for us creators then? What do we have to do to make this work? I can tell you it wasn't that easy to get around everything. Now they have released a document where they outline everything that you need to do. So we can take a quick look at that. So this is it. This is the document that they released that is supposed to contain all the information you need to export your assets and have them work with the FAB in Launcher. Now, it's not really that easy to find. You can see here I have to go to epicgames.com documentation blah blah blah, FAB, setting up assets for FAB in Launcher. So I will include this link in the description down below, so you can click and find it from there. Because I followed this, and this is the only information I had to make it work. So let's put it to the test, shall we? And see if it's actually delivering. So you got information of all the type of file format, which programs it works with, and how you can export it, which formats you can export it in, and how to name your textures and models, and also the folder structure. That is the important thing. And then if you follow this, it should work, shouldn't it? Well, it's a mixed bag. Some things did work and some things did not work, or I didn't get it to work. But let's figure this out. Back in the FAB store. Now let's try and see how it actually works. So this is my old Roman ruin pieces. So I get quite a few of them. So it will take some time to export it, but let's see if we can get them into Unreal Engine 5.4. So I would choose Unreal Engine 5.4. I only have them in FBX. There are textures that are hooked up to the shaders, so it should be working fine. Now this one is done in Blender, so we could probably click the flip normal maps to get it into DirectX from OpenGL. And then it should be just a matter of clicking export. So let's click that. It's done. It took quite some time, but all the assets are now in, and you can see it's quite a lot. Well, let's take a look at what it actually did here. So if I click on the top here, you can see that I got 3 folders here. One textures, materials, and additional textures. So this is not something that I have done. This is Megascan's invention, or it comes from the Megascan. So these are the textures that this would be the original FBX textures that you would get. So it creates like a separate material, not a material instance, and it would hook it up like this. You get the normal map into the normal. This is roughness, but it always connects it to metallic. So in order to use it, you always have to switch it to roughness, which is super annoying. But this is what you get when you import an FBX by yourself locally from Blender or whatnot. And it can recognize the base color goes in here as well. Now, what I found is kind of interesting here, that these are of course wrong because it comes in with a metallic. So if I put it there, you can see it's just way too dark, and it's since it's metallic, it's got a bit of a shine to it, so it's not really working. You can see here it looks got a little bit of a metallic feel over it. And you don't necessarily want to use separate materials for everything anyways. You want to use material instances. But that's where the Megascan, the Quixel things come in. So if I go in here, you can see it has actually created the Megascan's materials. So if I click on one of these and go down to General, you can see it's MS default material. So this is Megascan's default material. So I get that as a little present. So it's let's close this down. You can find it here. So this is the base material for all the Megascan assets. So it tries to match up my textures to fit in with that shader. So let's double click one of these again, and we'll see what it is, what it does. So if I click texture maps, this would be the important one. All of these you can tweak as you like, but usually not. You just need to drag and drop the textures. So you got the roughness channel, the normal, and the albedo, and it's all correctly assigned. So that's pretty impressive. That means that even if I just put an R after, it recognizes it as a roughness, and the N is also recognized as a roughness, and D is probably then just recognized as a diffuse, which is albedo. So that's pretty good. So it's not too far off. So all you need to do with most of these assets that you download is to see if you got this folder with the material and just assign it to the equivalent asset. So in my case, that would work. I am gonna republish this. Hopefully I can get a cleaner result, something without all of these fake FBX shaders, and just get the Megascan material hooked up. That would be awesome, I think. Now what has changed definitely, except for the naming, if you look back to your old Megascan materials, you could see that they had these tri-map where all the channels were mapped, the RGB. They were swizzled. So you got red for, in my case I used red for occlusion, green for roughness, and blue was translucency or subsurface scattering. That seems to have gone by the wayside now. I think it's because it's hard to import and hook it up correctly. FBX just doesn't seem to allow it in a very good way. Not that I have found. So maybe for ease of use, they are now all separate. So I'm going to do that as well for all my channels in the future. I'm not going to do the three channel merged textures anymore, and just go with the everything single textured. But so it kind of works and it doesn't work at the same time. If you're willing to clean things up, it's kind of fine. Here we go. This is the latest one that I published, and we can see if we can try to get that one in as well. I tried a lot of things to get to this point. Really did a deep dive and an investigation to see how it would work. So let's say we want this into Unreal 5.4, and the format is FBX. You can see here which ones I have. So I made one that comes straight out of Blender, and these are the automatically converted ones, and then in FBX. And this is a custom GLB that comes out of Blender as well. So I used the Blender file to automatically convert these. This is a service that's provided by FAB. They will do that. Well, in my case, not very successfully. Now the Blender file is of course good if you're actually exporting it to Blender, which I can do at some point maybe, but it's a Blender file there. So you could do a download and then you would get it, but it doesn't have a sending over apparently then. What we want to do is get to 5.4, and we don't want to use the Blender file, we want to use the FBX. And even here I need to flip the normal maps. Okay, let's see what the FBX does. I click export, and Roman Ruins Sculpted Plinth 01 is the new one that I made. So I get the materials. This is looking very promising. It's got material instance. If I double click it, it is indeed the Megascan default material that is being used. It's found the roughness, normal, and albedo channel. In this case I used, let's see if we can get some more. I used the ending col and the ending norm and the ending rough. And that seemed to be working. Let's look at the mesh. And here's the mesh. Now it's got the textures here for some reason, even though it has a texture there as well. So it is doubling up on the textures. And I'm pretty sure I did, I did follow the instructions correctly, how to put it in a hierarchy, but this is the case. I got the textures there, and I got textures there. But let's look at this one. If I draw it in, it seems to be working fine. Got everything hooked up nicely. So that is working, except for the double texture thing. So I guess you can manually delete those. You just got to figure out which one it's actually using. So let's go in here and go like this. So it is using the ones from the in the texture folder. So these folders is something I don't have myself, because it says you should put the mesh together with the textures in the same hierarchy. So that's what I have done. So these are all made up by the FAB import plugin. So in this case I should be able then to just click delete. We're good to go. Still works nicely. So far that's kind of good. I think that's a 90% success. Okay, let's take a look at the other materials here as well, just to see what is going on. I do recommend for now just using the FBX. It seems to be the only one that's actually really working, but we can try the other ones as well. This is the converted one. So let's do an export, and here it is. It came in, and as you can see, this is not promising at all. You got the material right, you got the textures, there's no hierarchy, no new folders created, but what is this? So this is does not look good at all. So something happened in the conversion or something like that, but it does not look like it's supposed to. It just got split up. Maybe it's split up between, I don't know, it can't be the hard edges because I got all soft edges. Maybe it's some kind of, I don't know, it's really hard for me to say what this split could be. It's not UVs. It seems, yeah, it's something else. Anyways, it doesn't work. Let's try the other ones. Now we're trying the GLB. Here we have the GLB. It did the same. So, doesn't work. Now we try the USDZ, the converted one. There we are. Got a nice little folder with materials, static meshes, it calls it, and textures. Let's see the static meshes. All right, it's in. Looking promising. However, there is no texture, or is there? It does say that the texture is on. So what's going on? Let's double click on this one and see. Do we have any UVs? No, it's empty. So UVs are killed off in the USDZ for some reason. Let's try some more. The last one I have here is the GLB that I exported manually from Blender directly. No auto convert, so export there. And here we've got the same problem, so it does not work at all. So I think I'll see if I can't delete those and just keep the FBX, because this is probably just confusing. Let's say you take the wrong one and you think the whole thing is broken, and then it just makes you upset. So so far FBX is working. Almost. We'll see if we can get it better in the future, but the other formats seems a bit hopeless at the moment, but I'll take it. We stick to FBX. You don't need too many formats anyway. Only need one to work, and FBX is a good candidate to work. I'm here in Blender, and now let's try to export our very own asset and get it into a FAB store and then into Unreal Engine, and see what we need to do. So this is my candidate object here. It's a similar face to what I did before, a Roman ruins face, but it's a different one. And as a reference, I have exported a object from Megascans. So I use the Blender option from FAB Store, and it pops in with all the shaders as it should be. So this is of course really nice that you can study how it's supposed to be hooked up. Now this shader network is a little bit more advanced than I want to do it at this point. There are some reasons for this, but you got your base color, you got ambient occlusion, roughness, normals, speculars, and the displacement. So I'm going to stick to base color, roughness, and normals for now. So everything that gets hooked up into a channel here is what's going to get exported and actually going to get used. So it's important to find slots for these things here. And that might be the reason as well why they got the ambient occlusion here. It's getting multiplied in and then connected here. So I have not checked this at all, but in order to, because there are no ambient occlusion slot here, so if you want the ambient occlusion map to be exported as an FBX, you probably need to do some trickery like this. Anyway, that's for another time, another investigation. Right now we're just going to see how far we can get with a couple of maps and see if we can get it all right. So first we need a material. Go down to the material. I'm going to name this exactly the same except a S. I'm going to change to an M for material, like so. And now we're going to need some maps. Here I have my maps. But you can see they are named according to the old convention. Now it turned out that this might work anyways, but I'm gonna make it so it looks more like what Megascans writes it right now. So base color, and it's the American version, not couleur, it's color, and we got normal. And finally we got roughness. Let's take a look at that document and see what it looks like there. So here we have recognized suffixes for texture naming, and they have a huge list here of what you can use. It doesn't say anything that you can use D, N, or R, so it's kind of out there. Gotta do some more investigation. Maybe I just got lucky or something. Yeah. But anyways, you can use base color, diffuse color, albedo, col, alb. There's lots of these: occlusion, metal, metalness, emission. All of these should be recognized, so you can pick and choose. Now I prefer to do what they have done in Megascans. It's going to look better. So I'm going to use base color, going to use normal, and I'm going to use roughness. Just write the whole thing out, and that'll be that. Okay, back to the export. I have my textures here. Now they are renamed, and we just drag them into the material editor. And this is the base color. So we get color into base color. And next one we do is roughness. Color into roughness. Change the color space to non-color. And finally we have the normal map. Now we're going to need to add a normal map, this one, and get the color in there, and then the normal to the normal. There we are. That is all you need to do. Okay, so that's all the textures set up. Let's just double check that we have it correct here. So we set this one to sRGB, this one to non-color. That's the roughness to non-color. So all utilities should be set to non-color, and also the normal map should set to non-color. So that's all fine. So let's do a selection of that. The object you want to export, go to Export FBX. And then you go to the folder where you have the textures. And I'm going to name it as Roman Ruins Face Dollar Raw. And we're going to check our paths and our settings here. So path mode, it usually comes in as auto. To be sure, we're going to set it to relative. That means that the textures are going to be relative to where the object is. So you don't get a folder structure baked in. And they should be in the same folder. Should lie right next to each other. So limit to selected objects. That's good, or else you export the whole scene. And mesh, yeah, well, doesn't matter. You should have the mesh at least. And we also have here smoothing groups should be set. And that should be it, I think. Then you hit Export FBX. Let's double check the document to see what it wants us to do, how the folder structure should be. So there are quite detailed descriptions how it should be organized. For instance, here would be if you have many objects. But let's see, I think further down here there are some examples. Here you can see which one it is you're exporting. So in my case it's one model, one material. So here we go. One model, one material. The model with the newly created material replacing the original. Okay. So just gonna have model OBJ, model base color, model normals, model roughness, and all of that is just going to be in a named zip. Then according to the documents, what you have to do is just select the ones you want to zip. So it should be in this flat hierarchy here without any folders or anything. So we're just going to zip it, compress to zip, like so. And then we have it here. So before I had one folder like this, and then I zip the folder, but upon carefully reading it and looking once more, it does seem like I should just do these. And this could be the reason why I got an extra folder there as well when I imported it into Unreal Engine. Alright, so this one is done. So let's get this one into FAB. Let's do some publishing. Now it is recommended that you try your scene in a clean scene in your favorite program like Blender. So we're going to do that. We're going to drag it in and see if everything comes in okay. So we're going to drag and drop the raw FBX here. Drag it in here. And that should be all be fine. Go import FBX. Let's hide the cube. So far so good. So let's check out the shading. See if we got the material coming in. There we go. So here we can see base color connected to base color, roughness to roughness, normal is connected to normal as well. There we go. Normal is connected to normal as well. So that's fine. Pass that test. Now let's see what it looks like in Unreal Engine if I would import it. So I'm just going to drag drop this one in. See what it does. We get this up, build nanite, except, yeah, it should be all fine. Import all. And here we go. And it's building the nanite here. But you can see it's probably not okay because it looks very dark. So that is this case here where it connects the roughness to the metallic and not to the roughness. If it just would have done that, it would have been kind of okay. You could have proceeded from there. I mean, it's not hard to just change it over there as well, but this is of course not nice. If you got hundreds of objects and you have to change every one thing, it's not the way to go. So this is what threw me for a loop before, and I really tried everything with the naming, see if it could recognize it, so I could get the roughness hook up, but it's not really possible. I don't think there is a solution to this. This is just going to be broken. So what makes it work is that little plugin that you get from the FAB store, and then it connects everything to the Megascan's default material instead. So FBX is well, it's useful. You get the textures in, and then you can hook it up to your own material after that, but then delete this material and continue from there. It's a little bit fiddly, so it's not completely unusable, but in a FAB store environment, I don't think it's too confusing for people to have to always do weird things like that. You want it to work. That's the point with this. You get your asset in, and it's just good to go. You just smack them out. You get some speed in your workflow. You don't have to think about technical stuff. But yeah, that's where we are. So don't worry about this. This is what it looks like. You just can't do it. It works in Blender, but it doesn't work in Unreal Engine. It looks like this. In order to publish, you still have to go into your website and do it from there. So not in the launcher. So here we click Create New Listing. And we've got to choose what we do. So we want a 3D. Just click that and confirm selection. And from here on, we are gonna name it. We're gonna add descriptions, etc., and a category. Let's go through all of these one at a time, but first we can upload the model. So I'm just going to click Add New Format, and we're going to have an FBX. And now I can drag and drop my FBX. It's in, and we click Confirm, and it's going to upload it. So that would take a little time, but not too long. It's just one model. So the thing is that you don't know what it's going to look like until you're through the whole process. It has to get published, it has to get approved, and then you can check if it actually is working for you. And once it's uploaded, it's now gonna be extracting technical information. So I do like the work they have been doing with the FAB. It's even though it's not perfect or anywhere close to it, there are some some tech that just feels like it's really the way forward. So this here, extracting technical information, is quite useful. Now the problem is if you have a lot of files in there, it can take a very, very long time. But if it's only one, it just takes about a minute or something, so that's okay. And this should usually be fine. Since I only have one mesh, this is kind of correct. It correctly identifies how many triangles and vertices and everything there is. So that's good. Textures 3, 4K, one material, no animations. Can click these in, but it does not usually matter, I think. But there they are, scanned. Yes, they are scanned. Okay, so that's all I need to do for the FBX. It is now uploaded. In order to publish it, we need to fill in this correctly here. So we're going to do that. All right, let's give it a name. I'm going to name it Roman Ruins Sculpted Plinth 02, because I have an 01 already. I'm checking what I did for this one here, the publishings here. So I can see that I named it Roman Ruins Sculpted Plinth 01. That's good. And a description. Well, I can copy this whole description. It's going to be more or less the same. Like so. Now this description is actually taken from the Megascans description. So I'm using kind of the same template as they have, but I've changed the links and the namings and everything. So I hope I did that kind of correctly. So here we can see the Roman ruins pieces, themed assets capture the beauty of a sacred place, slowly yielding to nature. So yeah, that's not my wording, but just for this, I'll keep it. Keep it like that. I think I'm going to be working on the text a little bit more later, but it's good to have as a template. You want to get as close as possible to whatever Megascans did, because as I say, they are leading the charge in making this work. So you can see here, if you click that, you get the link, and this link goes to all the Roman ruin pieces. So that's good. And so a little bit of a description, the physical size. Yeah, it's going to be about the same as the other one. I can show you later how to find out the size in an easy way. Mesh type, closed mesh. Yeah, that's it. Maps, that's what I have. Base color, normal, and roughness. So that's good for now. And a little presentation. And here it's just links to my FAB webpage where I have my other assets. And further down, this is just a link to the FAB stores support page, so you can submit the tickets. So every complaint is handled normally via FAB. If you want like a refund and other things, technical stuff, is normally handled through there. But also if you send a mail or a comment, it should show up in my mail, and I can answer it there. But mostly where I like to answer it is on my YouTube channel, right? This one here. So if whatever you pop in and ask there that, oh, I have a problem with this one, doesn't seem to be all right, what can I do? Then I will definitely see it quite immediately on the YouTube channel, because that's my number one source of information. That's the one I'm working with constantly. So that's the best choice there. I also have a website where you can check out what is coming in the future and things like that. So all of these links here and descriptions, that works good. So the product type is going to be 3D. Category, well, we want the same as the other ones. Here under metadata, you got 3D buildings and architecture, components, pillars, and columns. Change category to buildings and architecture, components, and pillars and columns. License type and pricing, we're going to have standard license, free or paid, and we're going to set a price for home users. I'm going to make this available for free as well to begin with. And professional price. Well, we want to compete a little bit with Megascans, so we need to undercut them, but I don't feel comfortable even for... you need a certain reputation before you can start overcharging for stuff. So I'm just going to set this to $2.99 for now for professional users. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm gonna charge for these, but right now I'm just going to offer these for free, so you can actually download my file here and check out what this tutorial is all about, so you don't have to worry about paying $1 or $2 there, even though I would appreciate the support. The tags, so here you got to type in manually what you want, which is a bit annoying. I wish I could just copy paste, but I can't. I would just go to my similar one, and so yeah, I'm just going to fill this in, and when it's done, it's done. So kind of annoying, actually. Should be better than this. Okay, it's done. Well, if anybody knows if there is a way to copy paste this in, I would very much appreciate that knowledge. Drop a comment down below in the video. It could be that you need a comma or something, and I'm going to investigate that a little bit more later. But for now, this is fine. Okie dokie. Further on, we need a thumbnail, so let's create a thumbnail. We're going to render one in Blender. So I set up some lights in Blender so we can render a thumbnail, and I got my asset nicely framed up, and we're going to hit the render image. It's also set to render in cycles, so we get a nice image here, and this one we can just save. So I'm just going to save it in a new folder called stills, where I can find it, and I'm going to do a JPEG. So normally you might want to tweak it a little bit in Photoshop or something, but I'm just going to render it out and publish it. So I set it to JPEG and save as. So it's a 1920 by 1080, and that is the resolution that FAB accepts. Back in the FAB store, I'm just going to drag and drop the file into thumbnail. And there it is. And media gallery, we would also like to upload an image. Can use the same for this. Very good. And going down further, no, do not. Mature content, no. Yes, do not allow to be used by AI. No, it was not used by, I didn't use any AI in this, and no promotional content either. Okay, that's all good. One more thing here, I'm gonna add a 3D model as well. So what you can do here is you can actually take the exact same one that you are publishing, and if it's not too big, that is, it could be a little bit optimized if that's something you would like. But now it's going to just upload the FBX model with the textures, and it's going to assign them, and you get a nice little 3D preview. And there it is. So if I click play here, it's going to load it and find the textures and apply them to. So this one can of course be edited as well. So we can go into edit 3D settings. I'm not going to go too deep into this at all, just show that which buttons to click. So here you got the scene, and this is also where you can see how the measurements are. So 121, 125, 157. So I might punch that in. And you can change the lighting. You get environment lights if you want something different. So you got a lot of these things that you can do. So we'll take this one. I think that one looks pretty nice for what I'm doing. There might be a few things I want to activate. So cast shadows is kind of nice to have. Makes it look good. Occlusions in, and I like to get a little bit of a let's see here where that is. It look ground. I just want a little bit of a fluffy ground as well, so we get a nice shadow there. But let's say that's all we need to do. You can do quite a lot here. So we close it, and now it's going to load. And let's aim it nicely and click the save thumbnail, because otherwise it's going to just show an arrow. So we need a thumbnail. And that should be it. So I'm double checking through if there's anything that I've missed, and it looks good to me, so I'm ready to click the submit for review button. So that is looking all right, and I got the FBX, and that's also looking okay. Now I'm not going to do this. So this is where you can convert to these GLTF, GILB and USDZ. So you saw the results before and it wasn't too impressive, so I don't want to fiddle with that right now. If the FBX is going to work okay, I'm happy with that results for now. But otherwise, here's where you would do it. You would choose your FBX and just hit the convert. Now, you have to be a little bit careful with this one. That's why I don't want to do it now. It sometimes seems to get stuck, especially if it's a heavy or complicated model. It seems like it freezes and never really does anything, and kind of ruins your whole setup here. So that's going to avoid that for now. So with that said, I think, all right, let's hit the preview listing first. We get a little preview of what it should look like, and you can read if there's anything that's wrong, and I think it's all good. It's looking good. Let's hit the play button. All right, let's go. Submit for review. So what happens now is submit no conversion. They really want to push that. I don't know why, but maybe they have better success with it than I have. So submit no conversion. Automatic publication, that's what I'm going to do. So that's usually the thing you want to do for all of your stuff, but specifically if it's singles like this, it's a good idea. So there we go. Confirm. It's away. It says it takes 1 to 2 business days. Usually when it's just a single object like that, it takes not even 10 minutes. So I'm guessing there is some kind of an automatic process. But I'll take a little bit of a break now. And the next time I'll come back, I will check my mails and see that it's published. So, and then we do the imports and see if it actually worked or not. Well, there we go. I finally got the mail, and it took maybe 3 or 4 hours before it was approved, but now you can find it up here. Roman Ruins Sculpted Plinth 02. So let's click on this and see what happens. All right, looking good. Yes. Okay, let's export this one. Select the target. Going into engine 5.4. Still have to flip the normal maps green channel. So I have exported most of them in OpenGL, but we need DirectX. And as you know, DirectX and OpenGL, they have different Y channels. The green channel is flipped. So I got to think how to do that. Before, it was maybe easier to use OpenGL, because if you download the FBXs, you would probably mostly use them for something like Blender. But now maybe a default setting of the DirectX is better. But I still have to code it into the texture, so you can actually see which one is which. It gets confusing easily. Anyways, let's hit the export button. And it's in. Okay. Plinth 02. It's looking better. Okay, so compared to what I had here, where I had textures and stuff outside as well. So now that I didn't put them in a folder, it seems to be working exactly as it should. So that is the trick. So this time I did it 100% correct. And let's see the material here. It's the Megascan's default material, and it's all hooked up correctly. Very, very nice. Let's drag it in. Then we should also be able to see if I type in flip, the green channel is now flipped. So yeah, it's all doing its thing. So I would say this is a success. That works for me as well. The only thing I got to do now is change all my assets, which is going to take one heck of a long time. But maybe I can comfort myself that it's not going to take as long time as it did for Megascans to change all of their stuff, because somebody had to do that as well for a couple of thousand assets. Well, they probably used a script, but you still have to check that everything is okay. But it's big changes, and hopefully it's going to stay like this for the foreseeable future, so I don't have to do many more changes. But right now I feel happy about this, and I'm really happy that it actually works. Okay, what does this mean for the future then? So it is, of course, that Quixel has a huge advantage because all of their stuff is working as it should. Now there's not really any way to identify if the assets you see in the store is actually working or not. I think I'm probably gonna put some little some text on the thumbnail or something, or maybe something in the description for the ones that are working 100%, so you know that they are compatible with Megascans. Now it's really nice that they are giving away this Megascans default texture or default material. It makes it so much easier. So I have my own material, but I can't bundle that in into FBXs like this. So that's impossible. So but when I make my own big scenes like this one, the Fanal Forest here, once it's done, I think I would actually like to use. I would like to use the Megascans default texture for this work as well. It just makes it so much more coherent, although there's nothing wrong with mine, but I have to rebuild mine as well because now it feels like it's out of date. So yeah, lots of work to be done in the future, but hopefully this is gonna be a huge improvement and everything is gonna be nice. Okay, but that's it. It is working. It is a bit fiddly, but it's super promising, and I'm quite enthusiastic that this is going to turn out to be something really good in the near future. But yeah, break time is over. Get back to work. I'm gonna continue working on my Fanal Forest, and well, I'm probably gonna have to upload a lot of these single textures as well. Yeah, and like I said, it's really nice to have my own little library here, even if you don't sell anything. So you still have all your assets gonna be here. So I'm gonna publish maybe a couple of 100 assets here that are for sale. But if I need them, I always have them available as well. Wherever I go for work, whatever studio, I can always reach my stuff if I want to. So that's a huge thing. So don't hesitate to sign up for a FAB. It's pretty cool. All right. See you around next time.